My precious one, not every open door leads to a place of safety. Some thresholds may appear inviting, illuminated with promises that glitter on the surface, yet conceal shadows behind them. Many paths will present themselves as gentle, harmless, or divinely aligned, but beneath the polished exterior lies confusion, weariness, and snares crafted to pull you away from the peace I desire for you. So listen closely as I speak to you now, for the world will attempt to offer shortcuts, illusions of comfort, then opportunities that seem harmless, yet quietly fracture your spirit one compromise at a time. There will be openings that appear noble, doors framed with flattering words or convenient timing, yet they will not carry my breath or my blessing. Some choices will feel urgent, as if you must rush through them before they vanish, but speed is not the measure of truth. I do not lead you with panic. I do not guide you through pressure or fear. Any doorway that demands you abandon wisdom, peace, discernment, or the stillness of my presence is not a path I have shaped for you. If stepping forward requires sacrificing your integrity, your joy, your boundaries, or your spiritual clarity, then the threshold is not holy, no matter how polished it appears. There are doors crafted by those who seek something from you rather than something for you. They may extend invitations wrapped in admiration or affection, but underneath lies exhaustion, manipulation, or slow erosion of your strength. Their intentions will not always be loud. Often they hide in easy agreements, subtle flattery, or appealing promises that demand little at first and everything later. I urge you to become attentive, to cultivate an inner sharpness that recognizes when something feels almost right, but lacks the steady warmth of my guidance. Anything that lures you with comfort yet draws you away from growth is not a blessing. It is bait. Every open entrance is not a calling. Every opportunity is not destiny. Every offer is not divine. I desire you to walk through doors that deepen your character, strengthen your spirit, nurture your purpose, and align with the identity I have spoken over you since the beginning. Some doors close not because you are unworthy, but because I am guarding you from unknown harm. Some paths crumble not because you failed, but because I intervened before the enemy could sink deeper hooks into your future. You may see rejection, I see protection. You may feel disappointment, I see rescue. I will place before you openings that carry my presence, thresholds filled with clarity, quiet confidence, and peace even in uncertainty. These are not always glamorous or instantly gratifying, but they are safe. They may require patience, humility, endurance, or trust, yet the fruit they produce is lasting, nourishing, and life-giving. When I carve out a way for you, there will be a sense of alignment that cannot be imitated, a still assurance, a gentle steadiness, a grounded certainty that does not tremble under pressure. Be cautious of doors that appeal only to your impatience, ego, fear of lack, or longing for validation. These will glitter brightly but collapse quickly. The enemy designs openings that mimic growth yet lead to detours, seasons of fatigue, or spiritual numbness. Watch closely when something appears too easy, too flattering, too convenient, or strangely urgent. Discernment is not suspicion, it is protection. Wisdom is not fear, it is armor. I invite you to pause before every opportunity, to measure the atmosphere around it, to listen for my whisper. If peace withdraws, step back. If your spirit feels unsettled, do not force the path. If something feels inconsistent with your value, your purpose, or the truth I speak into your spirit, then walk away with confidence, not guilt. I am not the author of confusion, I am the giver of clarity. There will be moments when I will ask you to wait, because the door I have prepared is not yet visible. There will be moments when I redirect you because the doorway you desire is built on unstable ground. Trust the pause, honor the delay. Every moment of waiting is carving depth within you. Every moment of hesitation guided by discernment is shaping strength in you. Every door you refuse for the sake of wisdom opens space for one that carries glory. Remember this, I am leading you not toward convenience but toward calling, not toward momentary comfort but toward eternal growth, not toward deception dressed in opportunity but toward truth wrapped in purpose. You do not walk blindly, I go before you. examining every threshold, guarding every step, shaping every transition. Stand firm, look closely, listen deeply. I will show you which doors are meant to be crossed and which are meant to remain closed. And the places I guide you will always bring life, not loss, strength, not confusion, hope, not harm. The enemy circles like a predator, studying your weaknesses, waiting to strike. He does not move with noise or haste, but with patient calculation, observing the cracks in your courage, the tremble in your confidence, the wounds you try to hide beneath routine and busyness. He watches the moments when your guard lowers, when exhaustion settles on your shoulders, when disappointment lingers in your thoughts like a shadow that refuses to lift. He searches for openings, small ones at first, tiny fractures in your hope, subtle doubts you never voiced, quiet fears you tried to ignore but never surrendered. Through these he attempts to slip in, unnoticed, weaving lies through moments of vulnerability, convincing you that the battle is too difficult, that strength is slipping, that isolation is easier than fighting, that despair is more honest than trust. He approaches gently at first, disguising danger as convenience, weakness as comfort, compromise as harmless, telling you it is acceptable to loosen your grip on purpose, that vigilance is unnecessary, that you have already endured enough and can finally relax your watch. He studies your patterns, your rhythms, the places where you hesitate, the habits that drain you, the memories that weigh heavily on your spirit. Nothing about his strategy is random. Every whisper is deliberate, every temptation calculated, every distraction timed to coincide with a moment when you feel stretched thin or spiritually unsteady. His circling is subtle, like a silent wind brushing past your thoughts, nudging you toward weariness, toward frustration, toward surrender, to the very things designed to break you. He uses familiarity as camouflage, turning old fears into new insecurities, returning past mistakes to the surface to convince you they define your future. He aims not only to frighten you, but to make you trust your doubts more than your promises, your fears more than your courage, your pain more than your calling. But understand this, his strategy depends entirely on you forgetting who stands with you. He relies on your attention drifting away from truth. He thrives when your focus shifts from the strength that surrounds you to the anxieties that press against you. He hopes you will interpret his circling as inevitability rather than intimidation. He wants you to mistake his persistence for power, his presence for victory, his lies for insight. Yet he trembles when you recognize him. He falters when you become aware. He weakens when your spirit awakens to the reality that he is not an unstoppable force, but a defeated adversary trying desperately to manipulate perception. The moment you see his pattern, his influence begins to fracture. When you call out his schemes, his grip loosens. When you refuse to be baited by fear, his plans unravel. When you anchor yourself in the strength that speaks over you, his circling becomes futile. He continues to watch because he fears your awakening. He waits because he hopes you will grow careless. But the power within you outmatches every strategy he studies, every weapon he forms, every shadow he attempts to stretch across your path. With vigilance, his ambush becomes nothing more than noise. With discernment, his whispers become powerless. With steadfastness, his presence becomes irrelevant. He circles, but you are fortified. He studies, but you are held. He plots, but you are guarded. He waits, but you are strengthened long before he approaches. His movements may be deliberate, but your protection is constant. His schemes may be calculated, but your covering is unshakable. His timing may be cunning, but your defense is eternal. Stand tall, stay aware, keep your spirit awake. The one who circles you will never outsmart the one who surrounds you. Distraction is a thief that works slowly, not suddenly. It does not crash through the door with force or alarms. It drifts in like a quiet breeze, unnoticed, unchallenged, settling gently over your attention until it becomes familiar enough to blend into the background of your days. It rarely demands your focus outright, rather, it entices your gaze a little at a time, tugging softly at the edges of your priorities. nudging your mind from what is essential toward what is easy, replacing depth with noise, purpose with passing impulses, clarity with constant interruption. It steals in increments so tiny that you often do not recognize the loss until entire moments have vanished, entire hours have evaporated, entire intentions have slipped through your fingers like sand. Distraction begins innocently, a small detour in thought, a momentary drift, a curiosity that seems harmless. Yet these tiny diversions accumulate, building layer upon layer until they shape new habits, new patterns, new reflexes of avoidance. It replaces silence with clutter, reflection with restlessness, discipline with scattered impulses. It convinces you that your time is abundant while quietly consuming it. It whispers that there is no urgency in the things that nourish your spirit, while magnifying the importance of everything that drains it. This thief does not seek to attack your strength directly. Its aim is to dissolve it quietly. Instead of confronting your devotion, it dilutes it. Instead of challenging your purpose, it crowds it. Instead of fighting your focus, it fragments it. And because it works gradually, you rarely feel the shift until your convictions begin to weaken, your inner fire grows dimmer, and your direction becomes a fog instead of a compass. You may wake one day wondering how passion became exhaustion, how clarity became confusion, how resolve became hesitation. But this erosion was not sudden. It was the result of countless small moments surrendered to lesser distractions, each one seemingly insignificant, yet together forming a tide strong enough to pull you from the path that once felt solid beneath your feet. Distraction is patient. It waits for moments when you feel tired, overwhelmed, or complacent. It thrives when discipline loosens, when focus is left unguarded, when purpose feels too demanding and ease becomes too tempting. It knows that spiritual decline rarely begins with rebellion. It begins with inattention, not a deliberate turn away, but a slow drift toward elsewhere, not loud defiance but quiet neglect. And so it presents itself in dozens of disguises, in constant noise that fills the mind, in trivial tasks that feel urgent, in endless scrolling that numbs the heart, in recurring thoughts that lead nowhere, in worries that loop without solution, in entertainment that replaces reflection, in habits that consume time yet offer nothing in return. These things do not appear dangerous because they do not shout. They simply accumulate, tightening their grip while you remain unaware. Yet the moment you recognize distraction as theft, its power fractures. The instant you see its pattern, you reclaim the authority to refocus, to rebuild, to realign your priorities with intention rather than impulse. Awareness becomes a shield, discipline becomes a weapon, quietness becomes a sanctuary. When you choose presence over noise, purpose over impulse, devotion over drift, the thief loses its leverage. You were never meant to live scattered. You were created for depth, clarity, intention, and spiritual sharpness. Your focus is a treasure worth protecting, your time a sacred currency, your attention a gateway to strength and purpose. And while distraction may work slowly, your awakening to its presence can be immediate, powerful, and transformative. Guard your thoughts, guard your time, guard your stillness. The battlefield of the spirit is rarely loud. Most victories are won in the quiet places where distraction once tried to settle. Your accuser is relentless, hunting for the crack in your armor. He does not rush, for he understands that persistence is more powerful than force. He watches with a calculating patience, analyzing the rhythms of your emotions, the rise and fall of your confidence, the moments when you feel overstretched, underappreciated, misunderstood, exhausted, or overwhelmed. He studies the days when you feel steady and the nights when you are worn thin, measuring every hesitation, every sigh, every fragile thought you whisper only to yourself. He searches for the slightest opening, an unguarded moment, a lingering regret, an old insecurity resurfacing, a fear you have not yet surrendered. Through these small, unprotected spaces he attempts to enter, weaving accusations that sound convincing because they echo your own doubts. He does not strike all at once. He infiltrates slowly, shaping lies that mimic your internal voice. He constructs narratives that are believable because they feel familiar, stitching together fragments of past mistakes, unanswered questions, and buried shame, presenting them as undeniable proof against your worth. He points to your failures, magnifying them until they seem larger than the grace that covers them. He highlights your imperfections, hoping you will confuse weakness with identity. He twists memories into evidence, hoping you will conclude that your progress is shallow and your victories short-lived. His goal is not simply to discourage you. His aim is to rewrite the story you believe about yourself. He attacks with precision, subtle whispers cloaked in logic, suggestions disguised as realism, shadows disguised as truth. He exploits moments of vulnerability, slipping in when fatigue lowers your strength or when disappointment softens your resilience. He prods old wounds, hoping you will bleed again. He pokes at unfinished healing, hoping to reopen scars you thought were closed. He wants you to view yourself through the lens of failure rather than transformation, through fear rather than hope, through condemnation rather than growth. The accuser thrives on distortion. He enlarges small missteps until they seem catastrophic. He reduces your victories until they seem irrelevant. He paints your present through the darkest colors of your past. He inflates your anxieties, turning fleeting emotions into permanent labels. He tells you that your struggles define you, that your weaknesses disqualify you, that your humanity makes you unlovable. His accusations grow louder when you attempt to rise, when you begin to heal, when you make a decision that threatens his influence. But understand this truth: the accuser's greatest weapon is misdirection. His power lies not in his words, but in your willingness to entertain them. He wants you to forget who speaks over you with authority stronger than any condemnation. He hopes you will forget the strength surrounding you, the purpose guiding you, the protection covering you. He relies on distraction, fatigue, and discouragement to dull your discernment. He wants your armor to remain unexamined, not broken, but neglected. He knows that an unwatched boundary becomes a gateway. Yet the moment you become aware of his tactics, the atmosphere shifts. When you identify the source of the accusations, the influence begins to collapse. When you confront the voice of condemnation with truth, the lies unravel. When you strengthen your armor through intention, through reflection, wisdom, discipline, and spiritual clarity, his opportunities vanish. He cannot operate in the light of awareness. His schemes rely on shadows. He cannot dominate a mind that has learned to filter every thought through discernment. Strengthening your armor does not mean perfection. It means vigilance. It means recognizing which thoughts nourish your spirit and which seek to drain it. It means guarding your inner sanctuary with care, refusing entrance to anything that corrodes your confidence or diminishes your identity. It means understanding that resilience is built daily through small choices, choosing what you dwell on, choosing what you release, choosing which voice you permit to influence your direction. The accuser may roam, circling with relentless intent, but you are not defenseless. You carry a resilience he cannot comprehend, a destiny he cannot interrupt, a covering he cannot penetrate unless you yield it. Your armor is reinforced by every act of courage, every moment of clarity, every step taken despite fear, every truth spoken in the silence of your own heart. He may continue to hunt, but he will not succeed when you stand firm, sharpen your awareness, and refuse to bow to the weight of lies crafted to break you. For though the accuser searches for cracks, you are continually being strengthened, fortified, and renewed, and every attempt to shatter you becomes another opportunity for your spirit to rise with even greater resolve. Do not sleep in the field when the war is still raging, for the battleground around you is not silent simply because your senses grow tired or because your emotions long for rest. The conflict does not pause when you grow weary, nor does the opposition retreat simply because you desire peace. The unseen struggle continues whether you acknowledge it or not, weaving its influence through thoughts, habits, distractions, temptations, and subtle compromises that seem harmless at first, yet slowly weaken the resolve that once kept you standing strong. To lie down in the middle of the fight is to offer your strength to an enemy who never loses patience, to surrender vigilance while deception prowls quietly in the tall grass, waiting for a moment of unguarded stillness to plant doubt, fear, confusion, or resignation into your spirit. There are battles waged not with noise but with whispers. Some conflicts do not come with thunder or fire. They arrive with suggestion, with exhaustion, with subtle invitations to relax your watchfulness. The field may feel calm, the air still, the horizon peaceful, yet beneath the quiet lies movement, strategy, and the shifting of shadows, gathering for an opportune moment. When you choose to rest in places not meant for slumber, you expose your heart to forces that prefer you asleep, unaware, unfocused, and vulnerable. You cannot afford to drift into spiritual drowsiness while opposing forces strategize around you. The war is not fought only in catastrophic moments, but in the slow fading of discipline, in the gradual surrender of purpose, in the gentle erosion of boundaries. The battle takes place in your reactions, your choices, your habits, your thoughts, your words, your attention. It presses against you when you feel unseen, unheard, or unimportant. It intensifies when you are discouraged, overwhelmed, or tempted to disconnect. And it whispers most powerfully when you long for escape. To sleep in the field is to confuse temporary comfort with safety. It is to forget that your adversary watches for hesitation. It is to believe the stillness is peace when it may simply be the calm before the next advance. The conflict is not designed to frighten you, but to awaken you, to pull your awareness back to the truth that strength must be guarded, purpose must be protected, and momentum must be maintained. You need not fear the battle, for you are equipped, but you must not deny it, for denial leaves you exposed. Remain alert, not anxious, watchful, not paranoid, steady, not rigid. Wakefulness does not mean living in fear, it means living with intention. It means recognizing the value of your calling, the power of your influence, the weight of your choices. It means refusing to let emotional fatigue or momentary comfort lull you into believing the journey is over before the victory is secured. A soldier does not sleep on the front lines simply because the wind feels gentle for a moment. A warrior does not drop their guard simply because the enemy is quiet. Silence is not surrender, it is strategy. Rise in strength even when you feel weak. Lift your eyes even when the landscape seems bleak. Hold your ground even when your knees tremble. Keep your focus sharp even when the world around you blurs. The war will not last forever, but this moment requires your awareness, your determination, your clarity, your resilience. You carry significance that the enemy fears. You carry light that darkness cannot extinguish unless you allow it. You carry purpose that cannot be stolen unless you leave it unguarded. Do not sleep now. Do not slow your spirit. Do not drift into complacency. Stand tall in the center of the field. Breathe deeply. Strengthen your resolve. And remember that the battle raging around you is not a sign of failure, but a sign of value. Warriors are attacked not because they are weak, but because they carry something worth stopping. Rise, remain awake, and continue forward with steady determination. Your victory is shaped in moments like this, when you choose awareness over apathy, strength over slumber, and purpose over passivity. Not every battle is yours to fight. Choose carefully. For there are struggles that call your name loudly, demanding your attention, insisting that you respond. Yet they are not meant for your hands, your strength, or your time. Some confrontations rise before you like storms, but not every storm requires your resistance. Many conflicts are distractions dressed as obligations, crafted to pull you away from the path where your true purpose grows. If you rush into every clash that presents itself, you will pour energy into skirmishes that were never yours, draining your spirit, fragmenting your focus, and scattering your strength across fields where no victory was ever intended for you. There are battles born from pride, inviting you to defend your reputation or prove your worth. These battles may feel urgent, but entering them binds your heart to noise rather than wisdom. When you fight to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you, You waste your breath on a battlefield where clarity has no place. When you argue simply because your ego is bruised, you give your power to moments that do not shape your destiny. Some fights are crafted only to provoke you, hoping you will exhaust yourself on conflicts that do not matter in eternity. There are battles born from emotion, anger, frustration, fear, disappointment. These confrontations flare quickly and burn fiercely, tempting you to act before you think, to move before you seek guidance. Yet emotional warfare rarely brings peace. It often deepens wounds, expands misunderstandings, and locks you in cycles of reaction that hinder your growth. You must recognize when your heart is stirring simply because it longs to be heard or validated, rather than because the situation requires confrontation. There are battles inherited from others, conflicts not rooted in your story, but placed on your shoulders by those who hope you will fight for them, with them, or instead of them. Compassion is noble, but you cannot carry every burden placed in your path. Sometimes stepping in robs others of the growth they must experience themselves. Sometimes intervening prevents a soul from learning resilience, wisdom, or responsibility. You must discern when to support, when to advise, and when to step back entirely. There are battles crafted by the enemy, distractions disguised as duty, conflicts engineered to drain your spiritual stamina. These confrontations arise suddenly, often at your weakest moments, offering just enough urgency to make you feel foolish if you walk away. Yet these battles do nothing but consume your time and derail your direction. They create pressure without purpose, friction without growth, chaos without meaning. Recognizing these traps is an act of strength, not cowardice. And then there are battles that belong to the divine, not to you. Conflicts too large for your hands to carry, situations too deeply rooted for your wisdom to untangle, enemies too strategic for you to dismantle in your own effort. When you attempt to fight what only heaven can conquer, you exhaust yourself trying to wield weapons never meant for you. Some battles require surrender, not engagement. Some struggles demand patience, not force. Some victories are won not through confrontation, but through stillness, trust, and disciplined restraint. To choose wisely is an act of spiritual maturity. It requires pausing before reacting, listening before speaking, discerning before moving. It means evaluating whether a battle leads you closer to your purpose or pulls you into unnecessary turmoil. It means recognizing when silence is stronger than argument, when withdrawal is wiser than engagement, when letting go is braver than holding on. Every battle you refuse is not weakness. Some refusals are victories in disguise. Every fight you decline strengthens your clarity. Every confrontation you walk away from frees your spirit to invest in the battles that truly matter: the pursuit of peace, the cultivation of character, the protection of your purpose, the shaping of your destiny. Choose with intention. Fight only where your presence brings growth, healing, direction, or necessary transformation. Leave behind battles that drain, distract, or diminish your calling. For the one who chooses their conflicts wisely does not live exhausted. They live effective, focused, steady, and untouchable by the chaos that once demanded their attention. Not every battlefield deserves your footsteps. Not every challenge deserves your energy. Not every voice deserves your response. You were created for meaningful victories, not endless skirmishes. Choose carefully, for your strength is far too valuable to waste on wars that were never meant to shape your future. The most dangerous moment in battle is when you think the fight is over. For when the struggle appears to quiet, when the air grows still, when your chest finally loosens and your mind begins to rest, that is often the very instant when unseen forces tighten their grip, hoping you will lower your guard and surrender vigilance. The enemy does not always attack in the noise. He often waits for the silence. He waits for the sigh of relief, the easing of your shoulders, the moment when you step back believing the threat has passed. That is when he moves with the most precision, when your senses dull, when your awareness softens, when your spirit settles into a false calm. In that fragile pause, danger curls around the edges of your peace, hoping to slip in unnoticed. You must understand this truth. Battles rarely end with trumpets. They end with discernment. Victory is not fully secured the moment conflict quiets. The adversary may retreat, but retreat does not mean surrender. It often means reassessment. He steps back not because he is defeated, but because he is studying you, waiting to strike again from a new angle, in a new form, through a new weakness unearthed during the last assault. He adapts swiftly, he changes tactics. He waits for complacency. He knows that when relief settles into your bones, your grip on purpose can loosen. Many warriors have been overcome not in the heat of combat, but in the calm that followed. They took off their armor too quickly. They put down their weapon too soon. They assumed the enemy was finished when he was only repositioning. They mistook silence for safety, stillness for completion, fatigue for closure. And it was in that tender moment of self-assured peace that danger swept in, striking with force that could have been deflected had vigilance remained. When you think the fight is over, you stop examining your thoughts. You stop guarding your heart. You stop watching your surroundings. You stop questioning subtle influences. You stop listening deeply. You stop strengthening your defenses. You stop acknowledging the presence of an adversary who capitalizes on every lapse in awareness. It is not fear that keeps you alert, it's wisdom. Awareness does not weaken you, it protects you. Vigilance is not paranoia, it is stewardship of your destiny. Do not be deceived by calm winds after a storm. Many tempests gather strength in silence. Many battles resume when the fighter grows tired and assumes the danger has passed. The adversary thrives in the aftermath, for it is then that wounds ache, fatigue settles, and hope feels fragile. Many hearts crumble after the battle, not during it, because they are too weary to continue guarding what was won. But do not be discouraged, this warning is not a chain, it is a shield. For when you remain aware even in peaceful moments, you become untouchable. When you continue to strengthen your spirit after the tension eases, you build resilience that cannot be shaken. When you stay anchored in purpose even when the battlefield looks empty, you foil every hidden strategy. When calm shows up, do not sit down, stand taller. Let peace sharpen you, not soften you. The enemy counts on your relief. He counts on your desire to rest before the victory is fully secured. He counts on your eagerness to declare, "It is finished," when you have only reached the turning point. But you are wiser than that. You can sense when something is quiet but unfinished, still but not resolved. You can feel the difference between authentic peace and temporary silence. You can sense when the battle pauses rather than ends. Stand firm even when the field looks empty. Keep the armor secure even when the air feels gentle. Guard your heart even when your mind wants to drift. Continue to watch with clarity, for the final strike often comes wrapped in calmness, not chaos. The true victory is won not only by fighting bravely, but by finishing wisely. The most dangerous moment is when you believe you are beyond danger. But the most powerful moment is when you remain steadfast even after the storm has passed. Stand strong until the peace is real, until the threat dissolves, until your spirit confirms the battle is truly closed. And when that day comes, your triumph will not just be survival, it will be mastery, endurance, and unshakable strength. Amen.